Simon, stop. Simon! You're a poop. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It is the first week of June and for me it is finals week. I need to prepare for my history test, which I'm hopefully going to be able to take today or tomorrow. And then I also have an English paper to write, and then I will be done with my first semester back at school. Actually, I think it's a trimester, which is why it went by so fast. When I announced that I was going back to school, I was super nervous about doing full-time school and full-time work at the same time, and then I didn't have to. I got put on furlough right before starting school. I'm still not back to work, and my trimester is over. So that worked out rather nicely, actually, aside from the fact that I have no income, but we're not talking about that right now. I still don't know when I'm going to be going back to work. A lot of things are opening up around here now, and my office opened up again, but they're operating under a skeleton crew. I'm going to be playing this month by ear. Assuming that I'm not going back to work next week, I have that entire week that I can just work on my book and get some things organized around the house because I won't have anything else that I have to do. No school. No work. In May, I got to be pretty good about exercising regularly and going for a walk every day, thanks to my bullet journal. This month, I am trying to improve my diet along with doing exercise. I started the AIP diet, which is autoimmune protocol. So you basically just cut out all foods that are known to cause inflammation in a lot of people, and you just eat a lot of like baseline foods. Fruits and vegetables, non-processed meats, no dairy, no eggs, no nuts or seeds, no nightshades, no legumes. So I'm just trying to reset my gut. So far, it's been working out. I feel a lot better. My skin has cleared up a ton. The foods that I've been able to eat are delicious and nutritious, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. So that's what I'm working on this month. And now I need to start writing my English paper.
I've got my smart device, I've got my camera, I've got my makeup on, I got my pretty little look. Let me tell you about my book. Maybe I got ideas and know a place where I can go. So if you got ideas, come on, let's start the show.
I'm done! I did it! I have officially finished my first semester back at school. It feels amazing. It feels really good to be back in school, and I'm really looking forward to summer semester, but for now, I'm glad to be done and have a little bit of time between semesters to be able to work on my writing. Okay, so I am tackling my book now with full undivided attention because I am not in school anymore. During the month of May, I had a really hard time moving past one scene in my book. I decided that I was going to write from the midpoint to the end of the book before going back and revising the beginning, just because every time I've done a round of revisions, the ending always gets left not very well done because I'm always burnt out by the time I get to it. So I was hoping if I could put all of my energies into the end of the book first and then go back to the beginning, that it would solve my ending issues. But I think I was assigning the wrong part of the book to be the midpoint of the book. So what I started doing last night, and then I've been doing this morning, is I'm going through Save the Cat Writes a Novel. If you've never heard of this book, I've talked about it a lot on my channel. It's really super helpful if you have problems with pacing. My pacing is really sluggish for the last half of my book, and all of my beta readers noted this. All of them were confused about where the middle of the book was and when the ending was coming, and I think it's because the midpoint actually happens a lot earlier on in the book than I realized, and so all of my beta readers could feel where the middle of the book was, but then when the book just kept going and going and it didn't seem like things were starting to wrap up until way later, I think I lost a lot of them there. And all of them said they were starting to feel like I have no idea where this book is going or when it's going to end. And I know that feeling when you're reading a book and you can't get any sense for when things are going to start to wrap up. Even if it's interesting, you start to lose interest a little bit because you're like, I don't know what to expect from this. And as readers, we do kind of like to make guesses of what's to come, and if the pacing of a book is messed up, it makes it harder to make guesses, and that makes it feel less fun to read for whatever reason. I have gone through and drawn out, I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I've basically drawn out the timeline for my book again, but I'm shifting things. I've realized where the midpoint of my book actually is, and why I was having such a hard time writing in May was because there were a lot of things that should have already started to be resolved by that point of the book that weren't yet, and it was feeling overwhelming, like, man, there's still so many things that need to be resolved. So what was I doing for the whole first half of the book? So I think this will be really helpful to have this new shifted timeline. It also helped for me to realize that a book should go like this, the timeline of the book. It should be victory, defeat, victory, defeat, victory, defeat, like that. So my beats were not following like gradual uphill, gradual downhill. They were just like all over the place. Even though I have this whole huge thing, these are all the notes that I wrote to myself and all of the beta feedback that I received for my novel, and I thought naively that I could just go through this and do what I told myself to do and it would be easy. It turns out I still need to get the timeline right, but for the most part that's still going to be really helpful, and I can go by with the notes that I wrote in that. I just have to keep in mind that the timeline has shifted and the midpoint happens earlier in the book than I thought. I'm wondering if I should go back to the actual midpoint of the book and start writing from there to the end, or if I just need to write the beginning and then the second half of the book. The reason I don't want to do that is that I don't want the ending to just keep getting put off like this, but it's hard for me to write the ending when I don't know. I have a hard time not writing in chronological order, I guess, and not experiencing the story with my character and just having notes as to what she will have learned by this point. I don't know. It just makes it hard for me to write her because I don't feel like I experienced that with her until I've written it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Let me know if you know what I'm talking about down below. Anyways, I'm gonna go through my notes to myself and my beta feedback, and I'm going to write above every chapter what beat that chapter falls under, and then just a little reminder to myself of whether my character is on an upward or a downward path at this point of the novel. Hopefully this month I'll be able to actually do some real writing and revising of more than just one scene. Okay, so I went back to the beginning of the book and started rewriting from the prologue. The reason I decided to do this largely has to do with PitMad in September. I realized that if I work on only the second half of the book right now, by the time PitMad comes along, if any agents were to express interest, I wouldn't be able to send them the first few chapters of a manuscript because I wouldn't have gotten to those yet, most likely. I also realized that getting stuck on the ending, which I still feel uncertain about a lot of things, it didn't make that much sense for me to halt my progress completely until I figure out the ending, because more likely than not, if I am making progress somewhere else in the book, I will be able to figure out what I still feel uncertain about the ending. I still want to be making progress in my book, and the answers will come eventually. So last night I started working on my prologue again and started rewriting it. This morning I was working on it some more, and I already feel so much better about this book because I already know what I want for the beginning of the book. My notes are super clear of what to change and what to leave, and I feel really excited about working on the beginning of the book. I think I needed that return of enthusiasm, especially after the month of May where I was just completely stuck on one scene and couldn't move past it. I need to be able to work on a part of the book that I feel excited about and that I feel like I do have the answers and I know what to do. But as I was working on it this morning, I had this idea. What if I tried this? Since the beginning of the book and the ending of the book mirror each other, what if I tried writing the prologue and then the epilogue and then the opening image and then the final image and just kind of worked that way towards the midpoint of the book? I don't know if that would even work or if that's a crazy thing to attempt, but I kind of want to try it just to see what happens, because I find that writing the beginning of the book and then getting all the way to the ending, I almost forget about what happened at the beginning. And I do want them to mirror each other really closely. So, I don't know. I kind of want to try it and see what happens. So, that's what I'm going to do. We got bunnies!
Don't you worry there, my honey. We might not have any money, but we've got our love to pay the bills. Maybe I think you're cute and funny. Maybe I want to do what bunnies do with you, if you know what I mean.
So we have added Angora rabbits to our little hobby farm. And we chose Angora because they're just so big and fluffy, so freaking soft. Every 3 months or so, they need their fur brushed out because it starts to fall out. And then you can spin it into yarn and sell the yarn. We thought that would be a fun thing to try. My dad has been building a little palace in our backyard for the rabbits. We just got these yesterday and they are 10 weeks old. So really they're still just babies, but they're so fluffy, they look big. They're really, really sweet. Hi, sweetie. And then because we don't have enough animals, we are taking care of this baby bird that my mom found in the grass. He fell out of his nest. So we've been feeding him and he's getting more feathers on him. So we have quails for their eggs because quail eggs are less inflammatory than chicken eggs. We thought we only had female quail, but a couple of weeks ago we realized we also had some males in there and that all the eggs were fertilized. The quail weren't sitting on their eggs, and so my mom decided to experiment with them, and she put a handful of fertilized quail's eggs underneath some chickens who thought that they were setting but actually weren't. And so these chickens have been sitting on a handful of quail's eggs, and then this week some of those eggs hatched, and so we have some quails who think they are chickens, and they're so cute. They are like this big. They are so tiny, and when you see pictures of them and video footage, they look bigger than they actually are. They're so little, they're so cute. So now we have a rescued baby bird that we think is a red-breasted thrush or something like that. So how has the writing been going? Patrick and I actually spent the last 3 nights staying at an Airbnb close by just so that we could have total silence so that we could get ahead on our projects. Patrick is a programmer and he has several programming things that he's been working on. He's also been building my website for me, and so we were working on all those things at this Airbnb and we just got back. So now Camp NaNoWriMo is around the corner, and I've been trying to decide what I wanted to do for camp, and I decided I'm just gonna go with a 50,000 word goal because I am basically rewriting my book, doing revisions, but there's gonna be a lot of rewriting. And if I can just rewrite 50,000 words of the book, I think that will get me pretty far into it. It's been working out really well for me to go do this back and forth thing where I work on the beginning of the book and then I work on the end of the book and the beginning and the end and just work my way towards the middle. Okay, closing out this vlog here because it is currently the 29th of June. So camp starts the day after tomorrow. So I just sat down and created my bullet journal for the month of July and was going over my goals, and I do feel really good about doing the 50,000 word goal for this camp. I just really want to get as much done as I can. A quick life update. So I actually just heard back from my boss. The company actually took a pretty big hit financially, shutting down for as long as it did, and had to let a bunch of people go. And so they actually let me go. So as of right now, I am unemployed, which means a lot more time for writing for me. And I will also be looking for a job. I've also just started my summer term of school. This was my first week of summer term, and holy cow, I am already overwhelmed. I'm only taking 2 classes like I was taking in spring term, but for some reason, these classes have a way heavier workload than either of my classes in spring term did. It is insane how much homework I have. Like, oh my gosh, I'm already overwhelmed. And so I think it's actually a blessing in disguise that I will not be going back to work, just because I don't think I could handle a full-time job and this much homework. So yeah, the future is pretty uncertain at this point, but in the meantime, I'm just going to keep my chin up and work on my book. I'm really excited about Camp NaNoWriMo next month. I can't wait. I am in a group with a lot of really great people who I love. I'm still kind of bummed that they're not doing cabins the way they used to on the Camp NaNoWriMo website, but I'm determined to just get over myself and just have fun with the new way of things and not get caught up in the way things are different now. I usually during Camp NaNoWriMo like to have a fitness goal that goes along with my word count goal or my writing goal, because for me, I don't know why, I feel more motivated if I have like a fitness goal I'm trying to reach and a writing goal. It helps me to be better about not just sitting and writing all day, but actually getting up and being active. I've been doing this ever since the first Camp NaNoWriMo I ever filmed on my channel, which I will link up here. What I want to do in July and during this camp is I want to get to 10,000 steps every day, and I want to reach my 1,667 words every day as well. So I'm going to be tracking that in my bullet journal. Just try to get as far into the book as I possibly can. I also think it's going to be helpful doing a word count goal because right now I keep getting hung up over trying to make everything perfect. At this point, it will be helpful for me to have a word count goal to just push me past that and to not let me ruminate on the same scene forever and ever, but just to write it and then move forward. So I'm excited about that. That is a wrap for the month of June. Please let me know down below if you are planning on participating in Camp NaNoWriMo and what you'll be working on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!
Rain, would you come and take a walk with me? We'll cross over the mountains and we'll reach the pale blue sea. I love you, I'm so glad you love me too, and I wrote this song for you.